Have you ever known someone in your life that was so spoiled or entitled that they just thought they would always get away with everything, and no matter what, someone very powerful would always bail them out, literally to the point where they thought they had a license to kill and do anything? Kill, rape, traffic, drugs, anything. Have you ever known anyone, maybe not to the extreme of murder, but I'm sure if you just thought you could put a name, whether it's somebody personal that you know or even somebody that you see in the media, that you just thought they were invincible. And there's nothing that anyone could ever do to stop them. Let me introduce you to that person. And that person is, you may say, well, Phil.
Do you dare to look me right in the eyes? Yeah. Oh, 'cause they will run you down to the door. Yeah, someday we'll run you down till you fall. And they will run you down.
This is why I do what I do. Hashtag expose Phil Godlewski. This is November 25th, 2024, the second video that I've done today. I've got multiple things in the lineup, but I've been looking at some of this stuff, and I want to do this one right now. I think it's just important. And before I get too far into this, a couple donations came in, and I always want to be thankful and grateful when if you have the means and you want to give, it's much appreciated. So thank you very much. This is going to be another painfully beautiful production on D Booma San's Rumble channel, and I am D Booma San, the digital samurai for truth. And this will be a digital samurai news, and it'll start a little lighthearted, and then it's going to get a little bit more of a serious note later on in the presentation, and it'll make more sense. And I think everybody here on this channel that's been on this, you guys get it. And as more come in, I hope that more, not necessarily to my channel, but following some of these like Shack to the Futures, and I always link to them down below, their X accounts, TikTok, whatever they have that they do this work on. And some people focus on, a guy like Phil Godlewski, an absolute grifter and a fraud. I try to, mix it up a little bit, and I have experiences following a lot of these people, or at least knowing of them and kind of, getting a spin that was in a more positive favor for someone even like Phil Godlewski. And the things that they've done to people and to families, to lives, there's got to be some justice coming. And if not, then it's up to we the people. We got to figure it out. But let's get into some of this material. This one right here is from MartyLikeMeñow. Love that. But Phil Godlewski never supported President Trump. So I'm going to share a couple of important things here, and then we're going to get into more of why I do this. But he used his name, Trump's, to steal money from the most desperate and vulnerable among the supporters to live and spend lavishly. This guy does not even hide it. He flaunts it. I don't know how people can continue to follow him and not realize what he's doing right in their faces. I think he just thinks it's a big joke, and he thinks that people are stupid, and it drives me nuts that people like this get away with it. He's a convicted criminal and a child groomer. Share this so people know, and that's what we're going to do right here. Let's get into Phil Godlewski predicts what Trump will announce on November 15th. This was on November 13th, 2022. So we're going back to this to help you realize that so many of these people have and I experienced it with Gene, have done all kinds of various things throughout the time. But the idea for a lot of these people is that Trump is CIC. And so coming into the announcement that was going to be made on November 15th, 2022, there was a lot of buildup. And some people thought Trump was gonna, it was gonna be the start of arrests, or that he was gonna, there were so many different predictions made, especially by people like Phil. And I think this really ruined it for some of them because it made them look stupid. And we'll get into that as he speaks here. But this is leading into Trump before he announced 2024 presidential run. And all this, stuff was still going on about these various grifts. We're going to get into a couple more things that has to do with the IRS and the things that were told by some of these people to their followers that caused them to lose money. And this right here is going to be another proof that Phil Godlewski has no inside intel and he had no idea what's going on. And here it even looks like he's freaking out about what is ready to be announced, especially when it came to the idea that Trump was going to announce his run. So let's get into this.
There is no way that Donald Trump could announce his candidacy for 2024 on this announcement coming on Tuesday night. There's no way.
So right there, he's like saying that that's not going to happen. There's no way he'll announce it. Because a lot of people were saying that he was going to announce it. And guys like Phil, who believe he's Trump CIC, never conceded and all these things, they don't like that idea because it kind of ruins their grift. It really didn't, but it should have hurt it more than it did. They always spin it. And it doesn't matter how many of these videos come out that prove that they have no idea what's going to happen or what's going on, even though they act like insiders, act like they know exactly the moves that are being made, and Phil acts as though he is part of making those decisions. But here he is, kind of having a freak out moment about this announcement.
He can't do that for a number of reasons. Let me start with the first one. In my opinion, and in the opinion of most of America, if he announces that he's running for 24, that is a concession to 2020. He has given up on 2020. I'm going to run in 24. What the fuck? What are you talking about? You're going to run in 24 for what? He has just as much chance of winning in 2024 that I do. Or that you do. Zero chance. What is all this talk about DeSantis? You think DeSantis is going to run and win? You can't win a rigged election. Jesus could be on the ballot and not win. I promise you that could be the case. Donald Trump, by announcing he's running for president this coming Tuesday, would look like an absolute imbecile. An imbecile. It would make him look completely tone deaf and ignorant to reality.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
That's exactly what he did. But what did it do? It made idiots like this look like imbeciles. It made an idiot like Phil Godlewski look like an imbecile. Because in a way, it didn't make any sense. Why would you run for president again if you're already Trump CIC? Weren't the mass arrests supposed to happen? And yada, yada. And here we are. But yet these guys are still out there scamming and doing all kinds of crap. Let's get into some more of this. So, I just love Shaq to the Future. I think that he's doing some maybe the best work out there when it comes to exposing Phil. But happy Sunday to everybody except the gas station attendant, college dropout, Subway sandwich artist, criminal con man pedo, Phil Godlewski, who faked a call with @RealDonaldTrump. That he faked a call with Donald Trump. Phil Godlewski did, and his followers are believing it. He does these things to gain credibility and perpetuate his lies so his cult will buy what he's selling. And we just saw there. He was not only wrong, but I think these guys are right on the money. I don't think Phil... Some people are claiming that he was a lifelong Democrat, whatever he really was going on. These people, a lot of them, they don't even really care. They're just capitalizing on the greatest grift ever, which, like I said, is Jesus and Trump. So anyways, This is on his. This is being forwarded from the Phil Godlewski, which is still considered fake on Telegram, and it's just obvious. And I remember when that first popped up. I think I was still with Gene, and Gene was saying that Phil's one of those 95% right guys because he just trusted him. It was the same thing with Derek Johnson. Derek Johnson's 95% correct because only Gene's 100%. But Phil was talking about how he was talking to the CEO personally at Telegram, and he was going to get that taken off, and it's still there. But anyways, here he is. I just hung up a phone call in which I had the pleasure of saying, "Good evening, Mr. President." Just as the greatest president of all time, Donald Trump joined the same call and spoke to a number of people on the line. To say that I'm honored is beyond an understatement. Although many of the specifics, weren't meant to be spread, many others were. I can't wait to tell everyone about it tomorrow night live, 7 p.m. Eastern. Be there. And this was just yesterday. So I don't even know. People are probably going to blow up that live and take little sections out of it. That would be great. And if you guys go back to that last video that I just did, and there's my archives are in there. You can go find pieces of the various things. If it's Phil Godlewski, if it's Gene Deco, Derek Johnson, Scott McKay, Nino, any of these people, you could take clips out of them and just go share them. I don't care. We just want this stuff to get out there. That's why I just I'm trying to keep this free to everybody, and you can just donate if you have the money and you want to support it, but this is free to everybody. Don't feel obligated. It's never expected, always appreciated. But go to that last video, and if you're also still watching this with ads, that last video has a breakdown and it links to my Substack where I just do a little thread on that. And if you have any more questions, please put it in the comments. I'm more than willing to help. That's why I'm here. I'm just here to help. I'm here to spread the news. But this fool, Phil Godlewski, is literally telling his followers that he was on the phone with Donald Trump. Like, I mean, he's already done amazingly crazy things and made outlandish accusations and then also claims. So shouldn't be surprised, but it just still continues, and I don't know why people aren't seeing more cracks in all of this. But this is where it's going to get into the serious part. Shack to the Future shared this, and we're going to get into this later in the presentation. I want you to look at this family here. I believe this is Dave from the look of his pictures on his X account. But either way, many of you are familiar with at DPeters123, whose best friend Mike took his own life after Phil Godlewski swindled every last dime from him. Phil tricked Mike into believing all of the lies he continues to tell today. Dave is going to PA to confront him. So there's a give, send, go. I still have some questions. I've put some in there, and I'm seeing if I'm going to get any responses. I'll talk a little bit more about it later in the presentation. But this is the family that is now without a father because of Phil Godlewski and this man that believed so much in Phil. And you'll learn the story at the end of this presentation. And I just... these people are affecting lives more than maybe some people realize. And even in that Utsava video, I know a lot of people are still, kind of like positive towards her and whatnot. And you can look at these people as just being kind of crazy. It's the same thing I get with Gene, is that some of the people that still follow him say like, well, I don't believe everything he says. And he says some crazy things, but I still think he's a nice guy. Gene has threatened the lives of people. Now, whether or not that was just an outlandish threat, and whether or not he would actually do that, that's up for debate, because obviously he hasn't, otherwise, or he would go to jail. But he has scared the life out of people, threatening them if they were to ever dox him or share his location or any of those things. These people are a lot more dangerous than you realize, because they know that they've built a lot of their wealth and their lifestyle on a lie, or a continuation of lies wrapped in truth, or a nice demeanor in interviews and public presentation. That is threatened. They lose their livelihood, they get exposed, and they won't be part of this little alternative media club anymore. And they are willing to threaten people to no end because of it. But these kinds of people have told people things like the IRS is no more. There were even people on the team, BFS, when I was with Gene, who didn't pay their taxes because they thought the IRS was done, Nasara Jassara was coming in, the quantum financial system or whatever it was, whatever the grift was, at the time they were pushing, which was usually Nasara Jassara, med beds, free energy, and these various things. People thought that was rolling out in the background and that it was all happening. And therefore, the new system was coming into place and the old system of paying taxes was gone. People like Gene, people like Phil Godlewski, and many others made people believe that. And so now you have a situation here where more people are starting to wake up as their lives are being put in jeopardy because of the financial situations these people have put them in. So please enlighten me as to the things that are happening so that I could show those calling me a conspiracy theorist that they are wrong. I could be motivated if my silver portfolio was ahead $100,000 instead of down $100,000. Imagine being down that much money, being in debt, or having lost money that you did have, putting investments into something like what Phil Godlewski is putting them into, these silver MLMs and these scams and these freaking gold businesses. I purchased quite a bit of silver during the silver squeeze with all the hype back in February 2021 at $33 an ounce after commission. 18 months later in August 2022, it was at $17.76. I didn't get to break even until $33 6 months ago in May and slightly ahead at $35 and since then corrected down 14%. Had I been in the stock market, I would have been 300,000 ahead. Had I been in XRP and XLM, I would be 2 million ahead. And had I been for the last 4 years in US Treasury notes, I would be approximately $100,000 ahead. So some of these things, I don't know if they could be prosecuted because obviously people have made decisions. I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works because these people have been so convincing, but there's got to be fraud. There's got to be a way where you can take the things that they've said and you'd be able to present it legally to show how they swindled people into doing this. Thankfully for me, I never allowed it to stop me from paying my taxes or to think things in a various way because I could have made horrible financial decisions, especially when I was with Gene, with what they were telling, what he was telling us in the group, even in more detail in the meetings that we had to go to all the time. Well, it was a full weekend once a month that was like 6 to 8 hours a day for Saturday and Sunday, where you'd be in these long ass meetings and people would ask questions and we get into all this stuff. And it was always like, the I don't remember what it was. The Fed is gone. The IRS is done. We're not going to, the tax system's going to completely change and welcome to the new world. And it never came. And then they started to change the way that they were saying it and how the story goes. And people were losing their asses. These people have such a powerful influence on what they're saying to people, and it's getting to crazy town. And this right here should be another reason why this should not be allowed. Godlewski was charged with theft by deception, forgery, and related charges. Police said Godlewski kited a check to an area building supplier for over $20,000, and he forged his bank statements to cover it up. Warning. Do not give him your bank information. So I don't know if I've ever shared Twinzie before, but Twinzie's X account will be linked down below this video so that you can get access to them too. They're doing good work. And here you have it. Phil and Carrie. Carrie's his new wife, apparently. This is their Christmas giveaway. And they are asking for, look at this. Look at this. Wire routing number, bank account, bank name, and address. Why would anybody be asking for that kind of personal information? Obviously, they say they're doing like this huge giveaway and all this kind of stuff, but you shouldn't be allowed to ask this. I don't know what the legalities are in this, but why would they ask for that? It blows me away, but this is something that people need to be aware of. Don't give your information to somebody that's been charged with theft by deception, forgery, and related charges. My gosh. So getting back to that post, to the Give, Send, Go. Like I said, I put in some information. I'm hoping to get a little bit of more information about what he plans on doing. Apparently, he plans on there and going and confronting him, but I don't want to support anything that could lead to, something that would cause harm, even if it is Phil Godlewski. I want these people to be taken down the right way, even though as much as I'd love to be put in a room with some of them, even given my circumstances, just they deserve justice in some form. But I just want it to be in a legal manner, so I'd want to know. But this is what the Give, Send, Go says, and I took the time to just clean up some of the grammar. Some of it's just because of my OCD, but so that it reads better. But to confront the thief that has stolen everything. Hey there, my name is David Peters. I am here asking for help to go and confront the spy boy that has taken everything from the elderly and brain dead people. Now, there's a lot of people that are just good-hearted people that just don't understand evil and they're getting taken. So I don't know if I necessarily call them brain dead, even though it is just crazy how some people can still follow people like a Phil Godlewski. But at the same time, there's a lot of really good people still with Gene. And I just can't believe that they really still are there. But at the same time, I don't think they're bad people. I just hope that they wake up. He has stolen over $75 million from people and never been held accountable for it. Figures are figures, whatever the real amount is, it's still a substantial amount of money. I am going to find him and confront him live on every social media platform, and I won't leave until the world knows exactly what he has done and show him for who he is. Now, apparently, Script Keeper tried to go and confront Phil. Whether or not that was just all for a show or not, I don't know. I've gotten into it with Script. I really don't know what to think of that whole situation with Nick Alvear. However, in Nick Alvear's film, he did a great job exposing Phil and a lot of the testimonies of people that had been taken by scams like Gold Co. and lost so much of it. But this is a very personal story, and perhaps one of the most tragic, I should say. His name is Phil Godlewski, and he has destroyed so many people's lives. It's time for him to get a taste of his own medicine. So I don't see that's this thing. Like, I don't know what the intentions are. Even if you confronted him, I don't know how you would even do it. I'm sure he's in a gated home and those kinds of things, but that is what it is. If you could spare a couple bucks for the flight and the hotel and car rental, I would be forever thankful. This guy has hurt so many people, and he has never had someone stand up to him. So Shaq to the Future shared this, and he says he's a great guy. I'm sure he is a great guy, and he has really good intentions. It's just it could get very heated very quickly, especially considering it was a good friend that this story is about. I want to share a story about my friend Mike. Mike fell for Phil's lies. Mike believed that Phil was a CIA agent and ex-military covert ops. Mike loved the military and always had a big heart for them. Like I'm saying, a lot of people have just really big hearts, man, and they just don't understand that people could be this deceptive. They seem like such nice people. Like, oh yeah, maybe they're wrong about some things or whatever, but they seem like good people. If you knew them personally, if people knew how Gene really was, the way he freaking openly treats his wife. I don't know what the situation is there, but there's very awkward times, even on Zooms, where they would get in arguments, and then they'd have to mute themselves, and then they'd take a little time out, and it was just silent on the Zoom call right before we're getting ready to go live. It's just like the craziest stuff. And it was even worse from what I've heard of people that went to Gene's home and spent time there for that Thanksgiving where he told everybody that he was God's father, the craziness, the way he was treating her in front of them. No reservation. These are what people are really like. So when it comes to Phil, he's a scumbag. So with the lies Phil shared in those days of COVID, Mike got hooked thinking Phil was some special agent that was helping take down the cabal, but in fact, he was just taking people's money. Mike had a beautiful family, a wife and 3 kids. At one point, Phil told everyone that silver was going up to $100,000. Mike was so stoked about it. And I got it. I never heard $100,000, but like people like Santa Surfing and stuff like that, they were putting out numbers like 12,000 or something like that an ounce, like crazy numbers, getting people all riled up. I remember him calling me and telling me about this. At this point is where I was introduced to Phil. Mike was daydreaming every day about how much stuff he would be able to do with that money once it hit. Well, that day never came. over and over again for months and then years. The same story from Phil that it was coming and that Nassara was about to make everyone rich. As the months passed by and nothing would happen, Mike's money problems kept piling up. Phil told everyone not to do their taxes, so he never did them. So whether he specifically said that, I don't know. It was the same with Gene, but they would say stuff like, there will be no reason for taxes because the IRS is gone. Behind the scenes, it's already being taken down. The Fed's gone, blah, blah, blah. The new money system's on its way. You're not gonna have to pay taxes anymore. So if it was said like that, it's an insinuation. So if we could find something where he actually said that, I'd actually be shocked, because these people are very clever about how they do it, how they make you believe that you're no longer going to need to pay taxes. So then people stop paying their taxes. Or people ran up credit cards thinking they were going to have debt forgiveness for Nassara Jassara. Anyways, so Mike had collections and the IRS on his arse. He was stressing out every minute of every day. Mike would message Phil, and Phil would just tell him to hold. It would happen soon. And this is another thing I want to know. Was Mike literally like texting Phil? It could have been early on when Phil was early in his scam and he was actually directly communicating to people, or it could be another scammer pretending to be Phil. That's another thing that I want to find out about this, but at the same time, I would not be surprised. In March of 2022, Mike reached out again, asking when it was going to hit, and they would all be millionaires because his kids needed dental work and he had no money. Phil told him he had an inside track with some stocks and investments that if Mike wanted to, he could get into them. So Mike sent $50,000, all the rest of his money. He maxed out his credit cards and took out a loan to have those funds. Phil said he could double it in a month for him. So he sent it to him. Mike thought Phil was a stand-up guy since he was a CIA agent and worked in special ops. So what could go wrong? Well, pretty much right after he sent him the money, Phil started to ghost him. At first, he would just give Mike stupid reasons why he never called back or messaged back because he was on some super secret mission saving the world. But after a few more months, he just stopped talking to him altogether. That's when Mike became very depressed. Mike could not take it anymore and decided to take his own life. Mike was so far in debt and had lost so much money to Phil. Mike left a beautiful wife and 3 amazing kids, as well as a mom and a brother. What Phil has done is nothing less than the most disgusting stuff I have ever seen. So if you guys want to get to that Give, Send, Go, this is the title of it, and you guys can do that manually on your own. Like I said, I still have some questions that I'd like answers for. I love his spirit. I love what Dave wants, what he intends to do here is in the sense of confront Phil. I just need to know a little bit more about this. However, you've heard it right there. This is the kind of things, this is why I do what I do. This is why we got to come up with ways to stop these guys. Many of us that are doing the exposure don't have the reach because Opium is what sells right now. Opium is what draws people in. It gets them so excited they go and tell other people, and that's how they amass these followings, even though Phil makes up his numbers and exaggerates. And that's the other problem with social media, is that people follow the numbers. Stop following the numbers. Follow the content, follow the heart, follow the truth. And pray more people see the truth. But we got to figure out ways to bring justice. So to take the intentions maybe that Dave has, which are good, I do believe, but figure out a better way, because just confronting somebody and trying to make a video when Phil's never going to talk, you're never going to get anything out of him. And even if you even have the opportunity to see him face to face, which I think that would even be tough to do with somebody that has the kind of wealth that he has now. I'm sure he's looking over his shoulder whenever he goes out, if there is a possibility of there being trouble. They've got means now. It's just like that with all these guys. And so I'm open to any answers that you guys have, but it's sad. And there's, a case where somebody actually did take their life, and there's a lot of people that are probably considering it when their finances aren't so great. I do pray that Trump's going to bring back this economy. I do have hopes, for things like silver and stuff like that, but I ain't a financial advisor, and I don't put a lot of stake in some of these things, because This world is, I have no idea what is going on. That's what it is. No idea. Be well. Take care of your loved ones. And let's help each other come up with some more solutions to stop these guys. But this is why we do this. People's lives are being ruined. And there's a family now without a father. A mother without a son. And a brother that lost his brother. This is the real stuff. This is the painfully beautiful truth. That's all I got. I love you all. And I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.